Hi YouTube. So today I am going to address a very common question in the aquarium hobby. What substrate should you use? Specifically, sand or gravel? Well, first of all, I recommend doing some research on the specific fish that you plan on keeping. Some fish require certain substrates, while others are more versatile and can live on a variety. I'm going to talk about some general things that you need to know before purchasing your substrate. Specifically, particle size, substrate depth, and substrate type. Now, with all the fish that I've kept, I've never gotten a species-specific brand that is marketed to make your fish much healthier. Even with my cichlids, I only use pool filter sand, and they're just fine. So, in my opinion, I would recommend getting generic substrates rather than well-known brands to save some money. This is obviously not the case if you have a saltwater aquarium, because those substrates have special trace elements within them to support the fish. I am exclusively talking about freshwater in this video. Now, let's talk about the positives and negatives of different particle sizes. If your aquarium has large gravel, pebble type substrate, there are some good and some bad things about it. First of all, if large enough, a lot of algae and bacteria will grow on them, which can be good because it will stay out of sight for the most part and help clean the tank. It can be a very good biological filter. Also, many people prefer the look of larger gravel. Another benefit is if you have a traditional siphon, it is easier to vacuum through the gravel to get all of the gunk. Now, on the bad side of large particle sizes, first of all, if you have a fish that spends a lot of time on the bottom, or a fish that is just very sensitive in general, large gravel might not be a good choice. For example, there have been many cases when people's stingrays gets cut up on the gravel, and that can eventually lead to death. Also, fish like discus who are sensitive can easily get scratched up by the sharp edges on the gravel. And another negative is that food can be lost in the deep cracks of the gravel and rot if you don't siphon it out, but it does keep your tank looking nicer for a little bit longer. Now, the positive and negatives of a smaller particle size, such as sand. Sand has some good things about it as well. It can be sifted and easily moved around by fish with no injuries. Many fish like to hide under the sand as shelter, and many sift through it to eat, such as African Cichlids. There are no cracks for food to get lost, and although it seems to get dirtier faster, it actually just keeps the dirt on top rather than covering it. Although it may be a little bit more work to make the tank look perfect all the time, it is much healthier for your fish because you can see and make sure that you get all the leftovers cleaned up. Now, some negatives about sand. First of all, it cannot be as good of a biological filter as the particles beneath the surface of the sand are suffocated and deprived of oxygen, and therefore cannot host aerobic bacteria. This can be less of a controller of your nitrates and may require some more consistent maintenance. Now that you understand a lot about the particle sizes of substrate, let's talk about the depth. Again, some fish require some parameters, but let's talk about the general stuff. The deeper your substrate goes, the more maintenance it will require. If your substrate is very deep, fish food and waste can decompose and turn into toxic nitrates and eventually kill your fish if it builds up enough. Deeper substrates may be necessary for plants and burrowing fish. However, shallower substrate does not host as much bacteria and is therefore less of a biological filter, but it is easier to clean. Personally, after keeping all the fish that I have ever kept, and after all the research that I have done, I think that 1.5 to 2 inches of a sand bed is the best substrate in general. I like sand more because it is also more natural for my cichlids, and they really enjoy sifting through it. It promotes some natural behaviors. Also, you can see breeding pits that they dig out when they try to impress their tank mates. It is really fun to watch, and I definitely recommend it. Now on to the fun facts for this video. Fun fact number 1. Manta rays are often considered to be the smartest fish. Number 2. Fish have been on Earth for more than 450 million years. Fun fact number 3. The oldest fish ever was an Australian lungfish reaching over 65 years old. Isn't that crazy? And before I leave you guys, I just wanted to ask you all, what substrate do you have in your tank and do you like it? To stay up to date with my channel and to make sure you do not miss any of my future content, please subscribe by clicking the circle in the center of the screen or the subscribe button below. On the left and right, I picked 2 videos that I think you will like. As always, I hope you enjoyed and learned something new. Thanks for watching. Oh, and thanks for 300.